Hey, Dota fans, and welcome back. Big Trent and Zyori podcast here, episode number 174. It's the end of the DPC, and we've got none other than Dakota Cox, the KOTLGUY, the host of the North American DPC, here to join us to talk all things Americas. A little SA, little NA. We've also got the one man to do both. It's Trent Pax. He's juggling all sorts of plates. And he's working that Phillips head screwdriver right now, trying to fix his fight stick. Dakota, my man, how are you? How you doing after this long 6-week grind we just wrapped up?
Feeling good, man. It was a grind, but I gotta say I enjoyed most of it. North American Dota is always a pleasure to watch.
I appreciate the most.
Yeah,
of
it's like there's obviously more to improve and do better for season 2, which is something else we can talk about. But the storylines, the journey, the Dota itself, all an absolute pleasure. And now after a day of rest, it's kind of sad to see that there's not as much Dota going on right now. So there's definitely going to feel a bit of emptiness between now and the 5 weeks until Major.
I mean, it kind of cuts both ways. I did a stream the other day and had like 3x the viewers I was averaging during DPC. So the lack of constant Dota is good for other things. The podcast numbers through the roof since the Dota's done. So we got that. To be happy about, I suppose. But you're right. It is weird to go from the all-in. Like, it almost reminded me after I was done with exams in university. That first day when they're totally done, you're like, wait, there's nothing I need to be doing right now? It's like you have to rewire to get in that mindset of not being ready for the next broadcast. 6 weeks, you really get in the zone. By the end of it, it feels like, what do I do with all this time now?
Yeah, it was actually insane. It was great. I think I worked 37 of the 38 days. Of that DPC.
This fucking guy.
Dude, it was good. Not gonna lie, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, but it was super weird the last couple days. Like, I don't know what to do. All the games I'm waiting for don't come out for a month, and Dota's gonna be back on, so I'm kind of pissy, to be honest. I'm like trying to catch from my catalog, and then I also just want to play Dota, because now I've been watching so much Dota, so,
Yeah, I
times
feel you
are
there.
good.
Trent, you were the only one to do both regions, NA and SA. Of the games that you watched, which region was better? Objectively. All right. I made a joke with somebody on Twitter, and he was like, SA's the worst. Like, did you even watch NA? And then he said, did you? And I kind of thought, no, not really. But
all right, well, I only did a couple lowers, so I can only really speak for the uppers of the two regions.
All right.
I only did like 2 or 3 of the lowers in NA. NA was probably better overall, like skill-wise.
Okay.
Like especially in the top like 5, like
they've got like 4 Beast Coasts in NA, and we've got Beast Coast, and like then there's this Thunder Predator SG kind of.
It's just different. Like I think Beast Coast could take anyone in NA for sure, but I don't know. Like, and probably Thunder Predator too. To be honest, I think Thunder Predator are very good, but I think the drop off to like SG No Ping Unknown is much sharper than the drop off to Zoomers, Undying, and even Sad Boys.
Okay. I think that's
what it's all
fair.
about, right? I mean, and then you would say in Europe, they have an even further drop-off. They have this bigger amass of teams that can probably hang with the best, and then the drop-off happens later in the lower division.
Yeah. As someone said in chat here, now, skill-wise, that might be fair. Now, how about entertainment value? I don't know if the answer changes, though, because the NA games were pretty fucking entertaining on average also.
Oh my god, dude! A-Team, that team was crazy. And like, I don't really have much to say about the lowest of the uppers in SA. Like people like the Defenders and Ego Boys. It's like, I mean, they were fine to watch and stuff, and they took surprising games, but like, they didn't really have a personality necessarily. A-Team had a personality. Those guys were insane.
Yeah,
they literally in their first interview were like, "Yeah, we don't really like sit back. We just kind of like go." And they, I remember the first game I watched them, they just ran their faces in endlessly. It was hilarious. They were very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, a team is doing something right if they're like losing every game, but part of you still really wants them to win. You want them to be on there for the winner interview, and you just kind of want them to succeed. It's like, well, at least they're doing something right. They're putting themselves out there or marketing themselves in the way that you're invested. And I was surprised to see that happen in NA a little more than I was expecting.
Me too for SA. Like I had an interesting situation though. That team, the LATAM Defenders, Dakota, they were like a surprise to make it to the uppers. They made it and like the last minute in the qualifiers, winning the final series instead of going to lowers. And I really liked their carry player, this guy Cuckahook, and I was really hyping him up. Then like halfway through the season, somebody told me that Cuckahook is a real dick in pubs and that his reputation is pretty like thumbs down, I think. Dude. And that most of the teams had LATAM defenders number because they saw this vengeance of like, all right, we're finally going to pummel these guys after they've ruined so many of my pubs for so long.
Oh my God, that's actually hilarious because no lie, I never said it on the broadcast, but you know, we had every Monday we did a media day and we would at least interview one representative from every team and do a cookie cutter set of questions to get our generic videos like how do you feel about your last series played? How do you feel about your upcoming next series? You know, and maybe a various other set of questions. And I was surprised to learn how many people find Zabo and A-Team toxic or, you know, in pubs they've been, you know, a bit, toxic essentially. So I could get where you're coming from. It's like, I'm trying to build up this perfect Cinderella story of a player and of a team. Yeah. And just to hear all these other players from behind the scenes go, yo, that guy is actually pretty toxic.
Yeah.
It's man.
It was kind of like the NA lowers too. There was like a lot of all chat that wasn't like super friendly all chat. It was getting a little like, I don't know if I want to. Guys, slow down.
You have those moments of like, I kind of thought they were joking. And then it keeps going and you go, oh, I don't really think that they're joking. Oh, man.
I get that there's been a stigma on NA as it's a very toxic region. And when I at least have interviewed and talked to all the players, I didn't get an ounce of that at all. I thought actually all players were incredibly respectful and nice and spoke well, and you know that was an incredible surprise in itself, but never really saw any toxicity. But they'll talk to each other as if there's this huge toxic vibe happening within the pub scenes, maybe even within the scrims, and it's just something that unfortunately, but this doesn't surface for us to be able to see. So
yeah, I
don't know what kind of story I'm making out for these players, and then they find out, you know, behind the scenes they're actually terrible people.
Yeah, it's hard to know. And it was also weird for South America because we were pretty disconnected from the additional content. Like Dota Pit did source some really good interviews with a lot of the players, but all of them were either Spanish or Portuguese first because those are really the primary broadcasts. Like the viewership for the English stream was just okay, let's say, for South America. But if you look at all of the viewership for Spanish, English, and Portuguese combined, South America had like record-breaking viewership for that region. So that is pretty exciting overall. And part of me is like, God damn, I wish more people watch South America. But then part of me is just like, this is the beginning of this scene still continuing to grow and blossom. We're just a little ahead of the curve. Such is life. That's just how it goes. You know, I keep thinking about the founding of Beyond the Summit and Southeast Asian Chinese Dota. I remember that old mission statement. We're going to bring Southeast Asian Dota to the Western audience. I feel like that's a little bit what's happening in South America right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to have too. But unfortunately, you know, it's like it feels like the people are not going to come and turn in unless your team goes on and actually performs at the major. You know, and then brings back maybe an extra slot or at least some extra attention to say that this region can step up and look out for them to, you know, be in the next season and be there to watch them. And, you know, I'm hoping for the same thing for NA too. People looked at NA and it's like this is an EG only region. And the unfortunate thing is that when you look at the standings at the very end, and we said this at the closing of our NA DPC, you look at the standings at the end and everyone would probably just be like, oh, it ended as expected. EG's at the top.
Yeah.
Quincy's at the number 2. The two teams that we don't know, A-Team and 5M-, they're out of there. The pub stacks are in the middle.
Yeah.
Cool. But we watched the whole way through, and it was not as basic as that. There were some cool storylines. There was upsets, and obviously the tiebreakers at the end had a lot of depth to it. So it's unfortunate that things had to end as face value. So now even more so, I hope that EG and Quincy can certainly perform come major time.
I mean, I think that was the blessing of NA is that Quincy was able to beat EG for their only series loss in the round robin. Like, there you go, Trent. Look at you with the
fresh buttons. Oh, new stick, not garbage. Excellent. Good. All right, continue.
But you guys actually have in NA this triangle of teams, let's say, in the top 3 that are all super competitive. Simply put, it's not an EG only region anymore. And that is just so much more interesting to watch. You actually have some competition. You have these little rivalries, if you will. In South America, we don't quite have that yet. It's still Beast Coast up here, and then these other teams that are right there, but not quite there, and then a whole bunch of teams that are steps below that. And we need
even for example, when Beast Coast lost, like, I don't think anyone thought all of a sudden, oh, now they're going to drop more games. You know what I mean? Like, that's, even though they're losing, I still feel like they were so much better than a lot of the competition there.
Yes.
So, like, very different to NA.
Well, I think we also felt like that one loss that Beast Coast had, they just didn't show up. I mean, they were clearly either not slept or
they
not
actually looked
appropriately
hungover.
fed.
If I had to guess, I'd be like, yeah, you guys all went partying last night or something. Like, was there a wedding or something?
Yeah, they definitely had that. We've got this easy. Let's outskill these noobs. And yeah, it swung the other way pretty quick. So it wasn't even like a satisfying upset. It was like, oh, God. Who's playing on their accounts today? What? So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, if Thunder Predators step up on LAN, you never know. But I think it's going to be hard, man. I'm not going to lie. If I'm being realistic, I think one South American team going top 8 is like on the optimistic side of possible.
Who is Beast Coast slated to go against in the playoffs? Because I know EG slated to go against Southeast Asia, who is now Fnatic, right? So they're going against each other in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Who's Beast Coast going against? Because we already talked a bit about that kind of stylistic matchup, NA going against Southeast Asia, which I think is pretty good. And it's interesting already because you have Abed, you have Ice on EG, some of the best in Southeast Asia. Now they're going to square up against former teammates, former scrim partners, and should be a wild time. What about for Beast Coast, though?
I actually don't know. Have you looked, Zyori?
Well, so I'm looking at Wikipedia right now, but how do you know what? Do we know the playoff seeds yet? I don't think that we do.
I can't remember how I'd read that info, but it had been put out there, and maybe somebody in the chat would know. But there was a seeding already put out there of who they would potentially play. Maybe it wasn't concrete, but yeah.
It might have just been theory crafting. Yeah, but if anybody knows, I'd be very curious to hear. It's just the 6 teams listed as the playoff invite. Secret Fnatic, VP, EG, Beast Coast.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, guys, I'm not in that kind of inner circle, so
I mean,
what I saw was
anyway,
not within
it wouldn't be a leak because they won't draw any of that stuff until they actually get there, right? Like matchups and all that crap. So no worries about leaks or anything.
Real quick though, while we're on the major, I know Trent and I have mentioned it before, but Dakota, thoughts about the wild card? This concept of bringing in these 6 teams to play in like the pre-tournament or whatever you want to call it, and then most of them get eliminated. Like, is it worth the quarantine, the travel, the headache of getting to Singapore to not make it? I mean, it is hype because Nigma and Liquid are in there, so it's going to be competitive and fun, but
yeah,
it's pretty brutal. How many of the wildcard teams get eliminated? It's 4 of the 6
but
get
2.
eliminated.
Yeah. The reason why it needs to exist is because of Europe. It's, I think it's kind of like the best way to give Europe and every other region more slots. Like, you know what I mean? Because basically it's for Europe to prove they deserve all 4 slots. That's essentially what I see it as.
Yeah. I see it as the same thing. I feel like it's to be able to get regions who are just more top heavy or have clearly just shown that they're the better playing region, just more availability to make it into LAN and go further. It does add a lot of hype, I'm sure, as a viewer and as a spectator. I agree with you, though, thinking about the extra processes that they're going to have to go through with the COVID situation sounds rough, but I'm sure the players will not turn it down regardless. Take every chance they have.
I guess T1 are in the region already, but yeah, I feel a little bad for T1. I guess same concept for China, though, right? Because the wild card is 2 Europe, 2 China, 1 C, 1 CIS, and then 0 for North America and South America.
To me, it's basically an everyone wins, though, because now you're going to have scrim partners that are there, too, right? As both the team that's going, like, that's a crazy good experience for any of these teams that make and get knocked out. Like, sure, that sucks, but you get to scrim the whole time you're there. Teams will want to scrim you because they don't want to scrim teams that are still in the tournament. Like, you can gain a lot of stuff being there.
Very true.
That's a good point. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see who qualifies from China, of course. Still, 2 weeks left on that coverage, thanks to Chinese New Year?
That's exciting, actually. I kind of want to watch more China now. It's cool. I don't know. I really like watching China. It's like I watched a ton of it during quarantine. I was really hoping I get to maybe cover some of it during DPC, but it just doesn't work with like time zones and stuff, and having a real life and children and whatnot. So, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be exciting to see how that shakes out because there were already like big changes going into the break, and I'm kind of curious. Like, it looks like IG haven't missed a beat coming back because they were kind of a surprise anyway. So
5-0.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I am with you on that. Unfortunately, China, Southeast Asia, I've probably given the least attention to just because there's not enough hours in the day to be able to
Same.
watch. And, I love that show setup, the PGL crew, Lacoste, and B-Cop. I think that when I have tuned in, it's been quite enjoyable. But it is going to make things extra exciting come international time. And something I said a couple of times throughout our broadcast was just that with the COVID situation, with it being so long since we've had any sort of international LAN or cross-pollination of ideas and meta, everybody's idea of the meta is just so isolated from everyone else that it's those first few days, even when teams touch down, start scrimming, they're going to get a quick lesson on who has got the better idea of Dota, and then they're going to have to real fast. I wonder, and that's what I was like wondering, is like how long before they start rechanging their idea of the game? Like, oh god, we lost 3 scrims or we lost 1 official. It's time to think about other heroes. It's time to think about other ideas real fast.
That's one of those big coach and captain dependent thoughts, I'm sure. Like some teams, I'm sure, are able and more willing to adapt, and some might be more willing and less able. They might like kind of freak out, and not have the experience to figure it out quickly.
It's definitely an infrastructure thing, and that's where you'll see those teams like make the run through the lower bracket. You get knocked down, caught off guard, and then all of a sudden you figure it out and you make the comeback. It's pretty hype. I'm a little jealous, dude. I want to cover this major. Of all the majors to cover, this is a pretty top tier one in terms of the gap of time since the last. When was the last actual LAN event? What, year and a half ago?
Was it that summit? We did a
Whatever
summit
was before
when things got crazy, and then the ESL event took place, but that was like a talent on-site only event.
Yeah. What was the last event before Los Angeles? Because that was basically the last attempt, and that got canceled. So whatever.
I went to
that
Singapore, and then I came back. I didn't fly anywhere after Singapore because I remember that was the last place I went because that was like December, I think.
Maybe it was.
So were you guys having a little pre-LA event? Is that what was happening?
Yeah, we did a Dota Summit. I think it was Dota Summit 12.
Was it 11 with the
March 10th to 13th? And that is like the event where we hired Tsunami, but then he was coming from that event, and he may have possibly had COVID. He ended up not, but we could not take the chance, so he just sat in the hotel, and we had to send him back with pay, of course. But just, a wild situation when everything was going on, and we already had players there and everything, and they're like, "Are we going to be able to get home?"
So that it was like exactly a year ago, dude. March 10th, 2020. I think that was our last event.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm with you. Whoever works this event, like the anticipation is so high. I mean, at least as a Dota fan, to see these teams once again cross-pollinate and just figure out who has the better idea of the game. I'm so stoked because now more than ever, and I've learned from talking to most of the teams, they care about in NA, they care about laning so damn much. And and even for people like Saberlight, #1 EU player coming, he's like, damn, I was not used to how they care about lanes here. I'm just getting wrecked by these enchantresses, by these witch doctors, by these heavy hero damage position 5s. And then he even had felt like, I don't know how that will work when we get to the big stage. You look at EU and they all team fight. If they make it through that laning stage, they're just going to out-execute. But will they make it to that team fight stage? Well, and they have 2 good lanes and crush them and starve them.
Yeah.
I don't know. And what would you say is like, South America's trait, superpower, whatever it may be, as they bring it to the international stage that they have better than any other region?
I mean, their best feature is probably individuals. Like, I found the individuals, I don't know if that just means the team is weaker in some sense, but like there were definitely players on the weaker teams that stood out. And it's not even like a miracle situation where it's like, oh, they're all throwing their bodies to make his game good. It's like, no, this guy's like playing Leshrac and he's just bodying people. And you're just like, wow, this guy is clearly better than his teammates. Yeah. There was definitely a lot of like the individual player swag that was happening, I thought, across both uppers and lowers.
I think the hallmark is still somewhere in that aggression realm. You know, there's that old school reputation about SA players kind of playing like young Sumail, that I don't want to just win, I want to demoralize them. We just lost the team fight, so now let's 5-man smoke at them because they'll never expect us to do it without Black Hole. Those unexpected, what most people would probably call YOLO plays, they do weirdly work sometimes. It's that example of if you're playing along the meta, but you know you're inferior to Team Secret, what's one way to catch Secret off guard? Do some shit that they'll never expect. You know, you can see that in any other game, any other sport. Sometimes just being unpredictable can win you games, and that coupled with high individual skill, like Chris Luck and K1 and these guys, they still have the individual skill where you go, wow, they're really going to pick Sven? Thought that hero was dead. And you watch it and you're like, holy fuck, this guy just made Sven look like a meta hero again. That was stupidly flawless. I can't believe he bought Midas on Sven. Who the fuck does that? This fucking guy. And he's like farming like an alchemist here. There's still weird shit like that I think will catch people off guard at the major. So is that a hallmark? Or is that just...
Are they gonna have the cojones to do that against the Secret? You know, I don't know. I know that people look at SA, they see a team like Beast Coast, and I'm sure they're hungry at the opportunity to scrim and practice against them because they're really that good. But I don't know. I hope that they can kind of show up and bring that extra bit of flair, and not just kind of buckle down in what they feel is kind of safe.
So
you know?
I'll give you 2 free tips here, Dakota. All right,
don't tell them the secrets.
There's 2 heroes in South America that they are disproportionately obsessed with that I don't think are particularly good in the meta. It's
hold on. Oh, yeah, never mind. Go ahead. Yeah, you got it. NA, we're into it too.
It's the Tiny, and it's the Tusk. Both of them on position 4, but also the Tiny playing mid occasionally. They love to pick the Tiny first as if they're going to take it mid. Then pretty much every game they're forced into putting it 4 because Tiny mid is really not that great right now. And every game we go, the Tiny 4 again. And more often than not, it fucking wrecks, dude. Same with the Tusk. They love these really aggressive, I'm going to run at you, block you out, fuck up your shit 4s that can kind of snowball a game. And they make it work more than we always anticipate. Is that fair, Trent?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
It's weird. I don't know. The
so
Tusk
passing on stuff like the Earth Spirit, huh?
No, they're obsessed with that hero too.
They like him too.
Okay.
He's been getting banned more. At least towards the end, we were seeing more Earth Spirit bans. He's so good that he's like finally get that guy out of their territory. The Tusk is in that sweet spot of not good enough to ban, but still high enough priority that he makes it through more often than not.
All right, yeah. So a constant roaming aggressor 4, though, which could definitely catch some teams by surprise if they're not ready for it. You know, I don't know though. Other teams might see that and they look at the lane that doesn't have a 4 anymore and just say, oh, we'll just take advantage of that person being alone and construct a harder laning phase against it. But
they've been loving Phoenix
4
and
position
Kunkka
Tiny.
also. That's the other 2. We saw a position 3 Phoenix from Whisper, I think in their last game against SG. That was surprising but effective. Shit like that, man. Their drafting is just a little different. Sometimes they are challenging to draft against because they love to flex these heroes. Like, did you guys see the position 5 Viper at all in NA?
The position 5?
Position 5 Viper, yeah.
I feel you guys might have had a couple.
We definitely had position 3 Vipers. We had position 2 Vipers. No surprise on those. We may have had one position support Viper. I can't quite remember now, though.
We had multiple teams first picking Viper, and it works because they flex it between 5, 3, and 2. So you literally
it was pretty solid.
Don't know what to do against it. Yeah, if you have last
ruined
pick,
a lot of drafts.
It's crazy effective.
To be honest, I was surprised at how little flexibility NA was kind of showing, right? It felt like they were mostly like, let's secure stuff like the early Spirit for our mid laner, and that won't even be flexed at all. And then using the power of the second pick to get their win condition early and just banning that throughout, whether it be a Timbersaw, whether it be a Monkey King, or I'm blanking on whoever else, but it's just, or Alchemist, maybe a little cheesiness here and there.
Yeah.
But it's not being flexed. Maybe a little flexibility here and there, but we found more often that it didn't work to their favor or not. So maybe that's a downside for NA, is things being a bit predictable. I felt like there were actually surprisingly a good amount of times that the panel is like calling picks, which is neat. It makes us feel good, but at the same time, I don't know if that should make the players feel good. If
Yeah,
we're
I felt that
predicting
way too.
you know, so
Exactly.
it's like I think that could be a downside for NA, is that we don't have the flexibility and things could be a bit predictable, but they probably feel comfortable because they have enough of a hero pool that's like, okay, sure, you want to target ban, my first 3 or 4 options, I'll go for the next one. We'll still do it to a high enough level that we'll get what we need for the win condition. So yeah, I gotta say we're not seeing all this like, oh, we'll get the Viper first and flex it around. No, they get the old trusty, you know, Enchantress or a Witch Doctor, get it with a win condition, ban as best you can, and then work around what you see on the other team. Maybe get the Viper out later if you feel like it's something necessary.
Okay.
Who do you guys think was the best hero? It doesn't matter what region, like across all regions. I think it's a little bit
Best
tough for me.
hero.
Like, it's kind of hard not to pick Puck. I guess
was-
maybe we can just like count
God
out
damn it.
Puck just because like
Okay.
I mean Puck was by far the most contested. There's like 91% of drafts across all regions. The hero was contested in. But to me, I think two big heroes that like weren't quite at that level, like Tidehunter near the end, started being picked a lot. I think he finished
yeah.
extremely strong.
Yeah, NA, like halfway through the league, we had that knock stats piece, and NA was repping the best Tidehunter in all of regions and playing it the most and getting a great win rate. And then they kept doing that throughout
Yeah.
the end for sure.
I'm
Lot of
actually
Tidehunter.
so strong.
I'm not pandering with this answer. I actually think KOTL, by the end of it, stand out as like most effective hero. Ability to break games most effectively was stacking and pulling people around, like those KOTL Kunkka games we saw. KOTL Ember, KOTL Mars, all these ridiculous combos. Plus, he opens up like Bristleback and all these like laning partners. I don't know. Is KOTL a crazy shout for contender here? I was gonna say Puck. So if he's S tier, I think KOTL's right up there in like the A+ tier.
No, KOTL did very well. He's one of those like little anomalies. Like he had 170 picks, 169 actually, Sari, and he's like a 54% win rate. Like that's very good across the regions,
Yeah, I
especially
feel
because
like
he's
he
getting
was-
picked up early a lot of the time too.
Yeah, I felt like he was just mostly banned. Like he was
Yeah.
he was a
Yeah.
high stock hero for NA. It's just we never got to see him because he was mostly banned in the 1-2. So teams would hope to grab like that Monkey King I was talking about and not have to worry about him.
Yes, he was one of the most banned heroes. He was in like the top 10.
Yeah. I would say at the first 2 weeks we were all riding the OD train and saying OD was probably the biggest hero.
I know,
Dude.
dude. Every
And
draft,
then-
you guys just talking about OD the whole time. I was sitting there just like, what the fuck are they talking about? OD sucks.
But the
What is
players were too. Everybody was on this OD Kool-Aid for sure. And then Puck was there the whole way through. And then they're kind of like, you know, OD, it's fine and all, but we don't really need it. And they just got back to doing like Void Spirit available all the time or something.
I love it, dude. Guest Trent is like, why the fuck are these assholes talking about OD every game? What do they know that I don't?
I think it's just like he's really, really good in pubs, but I think we saw it kind of at the start of our league too, and over time it just looked worse and worse. It's like didn't really have the best lane matchups. It ends up
Yeah.
going mid a lot of the time because the way the draft works out. Because suddenly they're like, oh, well, why would we run this in offlane OD when we can run a mid instead versus this like whatever hero, like some melee hero? You want a dumpster, and then suddenly you're not this like offlane OD. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like if the teams are coming into the league and that's already like the hot commodity hero and they're scrimming and they're already kind of have answers, and that's why we're seeing like maybe like Nyx Assassin come out super heavy in the early part of the league. It's just like, all right, well, this guy's been figured out. It's time to just put him behind. That happened way early on in the league, perhaps. But
Yeah.
you're right. It definitely had a bit of overhype. Maybe it was already figured out early, but either way, teams threw that hero aside and moved on.
Biggest statistical sleeper by far was Phoenix. The hero was
Yeah.
only contested in like 39% of drafts, and it had a 65% win rate over 146 games.
Is that
that's
all regions?
insane. Yeah, that's
Or-
every region.
Yeah, Phoenix was huge everywhere. Not NA. It was actually one of the worst
Nah.
win rates in NA and was barely picked. I mean, a huge team
crazy.
fight type hero, but
I always say it
yeah.
about that hero, AoE percentage healing, always
Yeah.
good. Like it's just, it has the power to turn fights with just regular old sun rays, and then of course the ulti is, it's a big one. We saw it just paired with Mars a lot. Like we did not see Phoenix
true.
picked just because. Like I think that hero has a high win rate because you pick Phoenix to fight around Phoenix. Like we always see these heroes that can protect the egg very well, like a Puck or a Mars or
We had specialist
Undying.
5 players too, who played it. He was like their big
What?
hero, and they'd pick it a lot of the times too.
Dude, Fly came on winter interview, and when we was asked like, is there a hero that you'd want to play but can't? He said Phoenix. Like he can't play Phoenix
Well,
right
do
now.
it up, bitch. Start picking it because it's
NA
possible.
just strip says that hero can't win a lane. We're not playing it, and that's just the fact. If maybe if we could survive the laning phase, and we really value the team fight, like a Mars as well. It's like, oh, Mars is he's gonna struggle in the laning phase, but we really need that arena and we need that setup, so we'll put him in there. I think NA just is like the lanes first. Can they win the lanes? Can we make it out of the lanes without being they want to be able to play Dota? If you can't win the lanes, you're not even gonna be able to play the game. That's honestly, it feels like the motto.
There is truth there, but I definitely agree with that assessment. Compared to these like real T1 European teams, come 30 minutes, you're just going to get out metagamed. They're going to work the map better. They're going to move better. They're
going to coddle you better.
Yeah, dude. It's way harder. It's a cliche, but it's kind of a different game at that point once you get out of the lanes. One of the things I want to talk about though, lower division, dude, Arkosh Gaming, Dakota. Dude, talk to me about Arkosh. So couple layers here. Let's start at the bottom of the pyramid. Is this cool? Like, do you think
I want to hear your
Arkosh...
first reaction.
Yeah, like the idea of anonymous players, Slacks is the manager, the kayfabe type thing, the heel, if you will. Cool, neutral, or lame?
I mean, I think what Slacks is doing is super hype. It's obviously a marketing push to try to get more eyes on NA Dota. I mean, there's no faulting on that, so I think that's obviously a great thing. I can also understand from the player's perspective how it's awkward on the competitive level to not know who it is. I feel like we came up with a good solution for that so that everyone they're playing against knows their roster. I want to give huge props to everyone in NA for somehow not leaking that roster officially. I mean, there's been a lot of people talking about who's on the team, and maybe there's people out there who know for sure, but, it was never like put on total blast. So
it's also the misinformation
tweet
campaign.
Whatever,
that's the thing. You just got to plant some seeds. You got to use the Trumpian politics against them. You see, right? You got to throw some hints out there. You got to get some Trent sounding motherfuckers doing interviews and stuff. Sow some doubt. I sounded like there was a Canadian on that team
that
potentially.
Goat guy sounded very sexy. That's all I know.
Couple north of the border type folks, but
the fact is that they're the most watched lower division team for sure. They even beat out some of the upper division teams. So
that's crazy.
They're doing something right. So if these other teams just took a little bit of that marketing flavor and a way to kind of put themselves out there, you can imagine how much further they could potentially go. But I get it. A lot of them, it's like just about winning, and they think all that showmanship is a bunch of BS, and maybe it motivates them to play harder against Arkosh. But that plays into Arkosh's game. They're hoping to build up rivalries and stories and get you salty at them and all that. And I'm sure if they were allowed to, Arkosh probably would have gone a lot further with the all chatting and everything. So I'd probably watch out for Beat the Pro Series, because it's probably a bit more of a stern, like, guys,
True.
don't do as much all chat. Don't, BM. This is the DPC. Pro Series is probably going to be like, yeah, if you guys want to do whatever, do whatever. So. But yeah.
Disappointed that we're not going to see them in uppers, because they placed third in lowers, so they were right there. They missed the cut under the cut.
The cut them right out, man. They beat them. They beat Dog Champ, and because they beat Dog Champ, there was no three-way tie. And
Little Nick, dude.
Yeah,
Little
Nick in the cut. I mean, those guys are beasts too. I mean, it feels like they are a notch below Simply 2 Based, who is the team who kind of cleaned out the lower division and were probably better than some of the upper division teams, to be honest. But, just even talking to the cut after they took that loss, they're like, we're feeling good. Like, we're feeling like, we got this. We're still a strong team. And, they got a little bit of everything there. Scourge McDuck, that guy can farm.
Dude, that guy's so good.
He's got a sick name. Little Nick, he's like the stylish young talent who probably gets a little ahead of himself at times. It's
I didn't know that the cut was majority Canadian. I also didn't know that their offlaner is named Tingle King.
Tingle King is a beast.
Dude, Tingle King axe game. Whew.
Tingle
King.
King.
The best axe call after Seb, dude.
He did.
He abyssaled an Enigma into a 5-man black hole. Well, it was his allies were getting black holed, and they all clumped on the Enigma trying to kill everyone inside, and he abyssaled and called them all. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty beautiful.
Damn. Lowers has 12 Canadian players, 30% representation. Of course, little skewed because we don't know what Arkosh is. They're just listed as North America with a hybrid flag. That's cute.
They're all Canadians.
Yeah,
just confirming.
all Canadian at heart there, but
Mhm.
only 4, I think, in uppers, but still, it's a pretty solid Canadian turnout there.
Where the flying fuck is Gelotl? What happened to those guys? We had a
Oh.
5-man Mexico stack for like the longest time in every tier 2 NA team, or even sometimes tier 1 tournaments. They were just always there. And they just didn't show for DPC.
They must be on Arkosh now. Those teams that have vanished in thin air, the Leviathans and the Gelotls.
That
and
actually makes
what was
so much
it?
sense.
Team Faceless, the old Pat Soul. I was hoping to see these people resurface, but
Void
they
Boys.
did. The Void Boys. That's what it is.
Mhm.
And they faded away, or they're in Arkosh now. Either way.
Where is
That just
Schlotl?
makes
How
sense.
do you spell it? I'm trying to find like the old Wikipedia. about it.
XOLOTL, I think.
That's what I thought. I don't see it listed.
I don't think they had a
anywhere.
page.
Wow, that's just a true Dota.
They
like,
were. Oh, were they? It's okay. Was that the same roster as It's Okay? It's okay is the team that had gotten DQ'd for having a player who played on different regions.
Oh, were they on that
Um,
team?
I'm not sure.
in which region was that? The North
some of them
American.
were.
NA.
That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense, actually, that they would have been on that roster. Oh, that's too bad. Damn. Because the one that always stands out is definitely Ifrit. Like I've been watching that guy like forever.
Oh yeah, he was a mid lane beast for a while there for sure.
He's been on like Not Today. He was on Wheel for a little bit,
Oh yeah, not today. There you go. Team Schlotl. There it is. They do have a page. Team
I'm trying
captain.
to find the
Hector.
It's Okay roster to see if it is the same.
It's probably listed in the the DPC for DQ'd or whatever.
Yeah, that is one aspect of this DPC that made me sad. Surprising amount of teams DQ'd, I would say. But by the end of it, was there any region that escaped the grasp? We had one team DQ'd in lowers of SA. Same for North America, right? One of the lower teams.
And China at the very beginning, that one guy, it wasn't a team, but one guy got kicked, right? Because of they got blackmailed that apparently he had match fixed before.
Oh, good.
But he claimed he didn't. He said that, yeah, I got paid off, but I lost the series before where I would have had to pay it, like, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they still kicked him. So the team was still allowed to play, though. So I don't think in China, technically, a team got DQ'd. But yes, every region had an issue,
Yeah.
God, that
as
sucks.
it were.
It's like surprised but not surprised. It's a lot of money and
It is the first season too, so you expect people like try to test the limits.
And I'm curious if season 2 it's going to be the same, less, or even more so because of stuff like, Kyle had just written about. It's like the season 2 is even more important if you're trying to get to TI. This is essentially as close as you're going to get to open qualifiers to TI. Just having to work your way in through season 2 and up all the way to TI
Right.
that way. A longer ladder for sure, but if you want to start, you have to start there. So I don't know if there's going to be more desperation on players to try to make things work. If their own region fails, they quickly jump on another team or something. Or if, now that they're banned, if they're going to try to step off or not. I don't know.
Oh, it looks like CIS was clean.
Okay.
I think they were good.
I think
we
in
go.
my head I confused that with Dendy's team getting relegated and getting 0 prize pool. That fucking sucks.
Yikes.
Just take a moment to appreciate how terrible that is. Alongside VP Prodigy. Now, to be fair, CIS is very competitive. Their Div 2, I think, is by far the hardest of the lower divisions. But
Yeah.
I want to see Dendy get a win. I don't mean like a match win. I mean just like a big like W. Like just. Come
He
on,
won a
man.
TI. He had his W.
But come on, man. Since this fucking team started, it has just been disaster after drama, after goddamn it, after COVID, after just this has been the harshest run of a new team org I think that has ever existed that hasn't thrown in the towel yet. I mean, they're still going. God bless them. These fucking guys. I thought this would be the time, though, the crossover. The Brazilians coming into Ukraine, RDO, Sexy, Fat, and Duster, but they had that issue with the coach. I don't know if you guys saw that headline, but was it Astini, I think, was their coach, and then he wrote that blog. Did you see that, Dakota? That it
Was it the fake COVID one?
No, I don't
No, that
think
was
so.
that was. Oh wait, was that CIS? Someone did fake it. No, that was Europe.
That
Someone
was the-
faked a COVID test.
Yeah.
Okay.
To try to cheat the
No,
stand-in
The
rules.
manager allegedly faked the COVID test, and so the whole team, I think,
Yeah. The thing
DQ'd
with Bait
themselves.
is basically their coach was this guy Estini, right? He's a Portuguese fixer dude in that region. He has which team is he? I always forget. Let me Google it real fast because I don't want to misspeak. Is it Midas Club? Yes, he's the founder of Midas Club. So the now I guess kind of defunct South American team that's had some rosters in the past. But he was the coach for Bait because he came with the 3 Brazilian players, and he wrote this blog basically saying that Duster doesn't try hard and that he's only at 50% and that Estini always tries 110% and that he's headed towards burnout. So he's just gotta get out while he can. And he just quit like halfway through the season and just fucked off and went back to Brazil. And now he's just been streaming on Twitch talking about match fixing. So
Jesus.
like just losing your coach halfway through where he's just like, fuck you guys, I'm out. I poked Endy about it and he basically said, I'm pretty sure there was some history between the two of them before they came here that I don't know the details of. And it's just like, God
was
damn,
not
dude.
resolved. by
That
the sounds
fucking
of it.
sucks. Yeah. But like, what a crazy. Imagine any other scenario. You're halfway through, you're on week 4 of a 6-week league, and your coach writes a blog basically saying, yo, I'm quitting because the position 5 is a fucking pussy and doesn't try hard anymore. Like, imagine posting that. And the only reason it didn't get traction is because he wrote it in fucking Portuguese. It was a drama in the Brazilian scene, but I don't think
That's
anybody
true.
even bothered to translate it for Reddit because nobody really cares that much. But it's pretty fucked up. In the blog, he wrote shout-outs to all 4 other players. Like, Dendi, you're like one of the best captains I've ever had. You try really hard. RDO, you're an amazing carry. You're really good. Then when it got to Duster, he was just like, yeah, this guy sucks. And there's no way to do a team when your captain and drafter sucks. I mean, I'm like
Jesus.
paraphrasing a
That
little
is
bit.
basically the TLDR.
But-
He's like, I hope he'll care again someday or something. I remember there was some
Yeah.
upbeat line at the end that
Super
made me laugh.
passive aggressive, and it's like, even if all this is true, what the fuck, dude? You just like doxed one of your just wait till the season's done and then quit and don't write a fucking blog about it. And the part that made me laugh the most was there was a real Zyori moment in there. He was like, I waited 24 hours before posting this to make sure it wasn't a rage post. Like, dog, you should have
yeah,
waited
that was
a
good.
fucking week. You needed a Dakota to come by and be like, homie, you don't got to take your day out on him, all right? That was like a
Wow.
real emotional post. So
Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't get the attention it deserves. And obviously, I get where you're coming from. Unfortunate for someone like Dendi. you know,
yeah, it's just
just the happiest Dota guy who's just, been the face of Dota for so long and just wants to get back into the upper echelon. And
yeah.
shit like this happens. You feel for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like to me, this feels like a little unlucky, and like Tendi just keeps getting unlucky. He just keeps finding the hornet's nest and picking it up, thinking there's no hornets in there, and then 6 months later, these hornets fly out, and they're all over his bedroom. Oh, what a disaster. Anyway, one other thing we can complain about: bottom 2 teams from lower, 0 prize dollars. Dakota, I'm sure you're a fan of this.
Not at all. No, that's quite unfortunate. Teams investing so much time into all of this, and then to really have nothing to show for it at all is so
How did
lame.
that pass the base level inspection?
I honestly don't know because we've said it before, but getting relegated out and having to qualify back in is the punishment. You know, everybody say like it's competitive. It's not supposed to be handouts. It's like it's not a handout. Believe me, not getting relegated is a huge incentive. No team wants to be bottom 2 out of 8, with or without prize pool there. But 6 weeks is a long time. I mean, not like $5,000 is a lot of money or something, but shit, make that $6,000, $5,000 or something to round it out. And I don't think anybody would argue with that. Now, that said, I don't think that is the main reason we're having match fixing issues. I hate seeing that argument all over the place of like, well, there's no prize dollars, so of course those teams are fixing. It's like, those aren't the teams that are fixing. 0900 was top of the lower division going to uppers. They're still betting on themselves and handing out information like it's fucking candy at the bank. I mean, that has not it's not just that. I agree it's a small incentive, but it more has to do with policing and people looking for it, and basically players thinking that they can get away with it because they've been getting away with it for a really long time because nobody's been policing it. It doesn't matter how harsh the punishment is or what the rules are. If there are no cops to enforce the law, then cool. There's not really a big risk of getting caught.
Yeah, it's hard to say. You can't just be like, oh, they're getting something out of it because they have the opportunity to scrim and play all these games. They're just going to get better at Dota. I know we haven't been able to speak to a lot of the lower teams because they don't get in on these media day things like we do the upper division teams. But even the upper division teams who are at the bottom, right, like your 5-man Midas, like these are guys who are juggling school at the same time, and they're lucky enough to even make the schedule of matches, let alone carve the extra time for practices or scrims or anything. So they really don't have the extra incentive for them to come back and like really grind the game that much harder. And it's crazy because there's some of them who are so incredibly talented, like Ryla Lisa, right? What's his name? Is on Dog Champ, I believe. And hearing his story from Jenkins' perspective was quite intriguing. And then we got to actually talk with him a bit. This is a guy who is like a renaissance Dota player. Like he always shows up on these teams suddenly without practice, without playing throughout many months of time. He suddenly shows up, plays mid lane on TA or some swag hero, and carries them all the way through these qualifiers to nearly the end. And when you talk to him, he's like almost a Ben Merlini Wu type, where he's just naturally amazing at these kind of things and is not even giving it his full attention, is like, oh, I'll try to make it, but I have school first and foremost. And it's like, dude, if you were like all in on Dota, you'd be a fucking god. But
yeah,
I can't really fault him either. Like what's keeping him really in the Dota? He said that if they were to make it to upper division, he'd probably take it a bit more serious, but they didn't. So I don't know what that means. And for me, it feels sad because that's somebody who could potentially be the next big thing. And that's just one team. And that's,
Isn't that
if
completely
he's in Europe,
rational?
What's his life like?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's. I mean, my head goes to what are the salaries on Quincy Crew again? They don't have any, dog. That's they're not an org. They're just 5 players, dude. They don't have any sponsors.
Yeah, and they're all in.
It's
on
not
that
a joke.
They won a lot of tournaments, so they're good.
I tweeted at Jack, I'm like, you guys gonna at least make a Twitter? He's like, nah, we are just. This is all the players. If you want to tweet at us, tweet at the players. They're pretty much holding out.
I don't think they even want to
deserve.
pretend to be an org. Yeah, exactly. Like I totally get it. I just think that's a perfect example of that team is top of the region right now, and if they can't get signed or sell sponsors or be a real team, I don't know how the fuck you could justify sacrificing real life opportunity costs if you're in the lower division, even if you have that potential to be the next Arteezy.
They should change their team name to just Your Brand Here. Really, just go all out.
Team for sale. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
much.
perfect.
How much for them to be Team BTS? Do you think at the major?
Oh, that's a good question. I really am curious if they'll get anything.
We could go in on it together. Do you guys want to do Moonduck BTS team?
Beyond the Duck? Just do something crazy? Just really fuck with them?
Team Beyond the
How
Duck?
about the Trent and Zyori podcast team? What do you think, Jack? Think we'll get a discount?
We could commission an artist to make a hybrid, like a hippo riding the mountain or something. And we'll we'll do it for the good of the community. It'll be a real branding bastardization.
Yeah, I think it's just they're holding out for the big org because they deserve the big org. I think. I mean, I get it,
dude.
They
why
want
doesn't
the Cloud9?
I was just gonna say, why doesn't Cloud9 have a go with these guys? They need to stop. No offense, love you, Envy, but
burned by envy.
Cloud9 needs to move on from the EE Sama and move on to the Jack Chen. I think Cloud9 and Quincy Crew really have a lot of parallels. Dude, come on. They're dedicated. They've got a solid roster. They've got regional representation. Yawar's a sleeper. Let's go.
Yeah, isn't Complexity partnered with GameStop? Isn't that the whole GameStop store and all that crap?
Yes.
Yeah, they got cash. Can't Cole sign these guys? And aren't they flush with it right now?
I wonder why Cole is so done with Dota. I guess, is it the same kind of thing? They were sort of ride or die with the Kyle and Z Freak pairing for a while, and that didn't treat them super well in the long run. I wonder if it's similar, where they just feel like been there, done that, don't know how to make money in Dota.
Well, weren't they acquired, or aren't they a part of like some
The
football
Dallas
team?
Cowboys
Yeah,
own them
Dallas
now.
Cowboys, dude.
You know,
So
ever
they just
since
want
that-
big ticket items. They don't care about Dota.
Yeah.
They care about
Hey.
COD League, Overwatch League.
Quincy
you know?
Crew going to TI. Who knows? We're joking about it now, but we're so far from TI historically. That's when the buzz kind of comes around. So if Quincy Crew does well at this major, they do well in the next league. I bet like major 2 leading into TI, there's definitely some space for that kind of conversation. We'll see a couple of these teams get signed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They got to.
I feel like in general there were probably some orgs or investors of any degree, whether it be for teams, players, for coverage. They were probably watching season 1 to see how things work, to see how teams perform, and hopefully in season 2 and beyond they get a bit more,
I think
invested.
Jack should just get on the horn when they're in Singapore. T1 gets eliminated in the wild card. Call T1 head office. Yo, T1. All right, let me hit
Dude.
you with this real quick. Send the jerseys down the hall. We'll put them on. Give us merch. We could use a coach.
Well,
Let's go.
I mean, Jack, what happened to the Chinese crossover? I mean, obviously, Newbie and Forward Gaming? Wasn't that there was some
yeah.
sale or partnership there? Why don't
Yes,
we
then
revisit
Newbie
that?
got totally banned.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on, that part's
Jack's
a little
blacklisted.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but that's take
an
the Chinese
associate.
money, dude. Just go for it. PSG, LGD. More of these Western crossovers. Maybe that's what America needs. Hey, we're selling everything else to China. Why don't we sell our Dota scene as well?
Manchester United crew, perhaps.
Yeah.
We'll get.
Although I think my Chinese visa is going to expire soon. I got to get a new one. Oh, jeez.
They could just quickly fall back on good old FYM hot sauce or something.
You know.
right before if it doesn't work out.
Dakota, I did a Zyori +1 with Eternal Envy, like not that long ago, 3 or 4
I
weeks
watched.
ago.
Yeah.
After that podcast, I got a DM from the FYM hot sauce guy. He's lurking. He might be listening right now. Okay, no joke. I made some somewhat aggressive comments about the quality of that sponsorship, and
You're gonna say that hot sauce.
no, I've never tried the hot sauce. he assured me that they paid cash up front as well as a commission. But, I asked him if it was more or less than 5K, and I don't know if I got a response. So.
He said, "I'll tell you the number if you don't say it."
Oh,
I
yeah. He said,
believe.
I'll tell you the number if you don't say it publicly. And I said, I don't want to know the number. Was it more or less than 5K? And I don't think there was a response past that. So pretty small ticket stuff. And it's I know that they're a small company and they don't have a lot of cash. It's still just like
And something that was set up by EE, right? I think you
Yes.
said all this stuff he got himself. So, he's
yeah.
not a salesperson.
Well, it's just that funny conversation though. It's like it's not worth it because we're not making enough money, but this is all we can sell, so I don't think we undersold. And it's like, yeah, but if you take a step above that system, the conclusion is underselling yourself makes it harder to actually sell yourself because you've established yourself now at a low level. So I've been there, man. That was Moonduck for the first couple years. It's hard. It's really hard to sell ads when you don't have a history, when you're like a brand new team and stuff. It ain't easy, that's for sure. I still wish he had stuck with that team, though. I wish we still had NPs. Like, I think if that was an org that just stayed true and it was always Envy at the helm and they kept with it consistently, it could be something. I truly believe.
He went on a journey though. He
Yeah.
he left Dota.
I know. Yeah.
He walked away, changed his diet, got fit, got Chad, took the MSN's route, but without the Dota, Now he's
Keto
back.
and TFT, dude. That's the secret to success.
Definitely a loss to NA Dota, but I'm glad he's happy for sure. I think that's what's most important. That's something he said on your podcast is that he's happy. But I've heard murmurs that this man may return for season 2. So
I think
Yes.
so. It'll be
might
interesting
show up on a team suddenly.
if he
that we,
joins a lower division team, because I asked if he'd ever play on Arkosh, and he was like, "A lower division team? I would never." Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, my bad.
Can't blame him either. If I'm coming back, the hope for TI needs to be there at least, even if it's a glimmer in the eye.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. I feel that. It was just funny. Like, I didn't expect such a like visceral reaction. I was kind of just, like throwing it out there, like thought experiment. Would you get into the kayfabe? Not like, do you want to play in the lower division? What about talent-wise, Dakota? That clip from Malistrix actually had me holding my sides of Sunsfan and Jenkins talking about diarrhea episodes. Was that a frequent occurrence on that panel?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean,
any heat from the big guys? Any DMs from Parker? Just like, hey, let's tone down the poop talk a little. This is Valve broadcast time.
No, not really. But
Okay.
I don't think it was stemming from our broadcast or not. But there had been mentions of things that we need to be taking out of our vocabulary moving forward.
Really? Is
Yeah,
there a new rule set?
and I agree with a bit. Like, for example, like saying something's cancer. I think it's been one that has been getting a lot of heavy scrutiny. And it's
Wait, does Jenkins say that?
trying to pull back. I actually don't know who was saying at the time because
I don't
too
think
distracted by them talking about shit and diarrhea and all this random stuff instead and eating hair and all that.
Say we definitely don't say that. That's in our no category, I think.
It's been like it's been a blast. First off, definitely has been a great time, and Sunset and Jenkins is definitely a unique pairing. Like we had them for the last summit, and to be honest, I wasn't able to even watch a bunch of that because I was having my kid at the time, so I didn't know how they worked together and what I was really getting into. And I knew that they both, and Suns fan loves to talk about those kind of things for sure. And then I just consider them, they're like shit post panelists. They'll definitely talk about the game, and they have a lot of amazing insight. But they're also entertainers, and they're great shit posters. And the only time I feel like it gets off the rails is if they just double down the shit posting. Like I go to Suns fan for something, he'll shit post, and then Jenkins takes his shit post and double shit posts it further. And then I am responsible to bring it all the way back to the game or whatever the topic at hand is. So I think that we could, and we were becoming something a bit better. It was just such a unique setup that we had to find our groove. So it was definitely a little off-putting for me. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm terrible at hiding how I feel about things, as you can see in these videos. Like it's definitely something I'm not good at, but I don't want that to make it look or sound like I didn't enjoy my experience at all. I thought Suns fan Jenkins were hilarious, and I had a fantastic time. But I also don't want to feel like the dad who has to like wrangle the fucking order and all that.
That's what makes it good though, because it's like the fact that you can't hide it is what makes it real, and that they know. So part of the fun for them is like seeing how far they can push it without like actually crossing the line that hard, and it's. That's
bro,
just a funny dynamic.
You know how it is, buddy. Someone has to be the good parent, and someone has to be the bad parent sometimes.
Hey, we get Arteezy on a winter interview like never, right? Rarely get him on, and it's like this is our prime time. Let's ask him some juicy ones, And it's like Jenkins asked him if he'll eat Bulba's hat.
That's a good question, though.
I can't remember what Sunset asked before that, but I'm like, dudes, we never get this chance. I'm sure people want to know something else about Arteezy besides this shit, right?
What did you want to ask him that you didn't get out? What was the big missed shot?
I mean, I can't remember. I'll always creep in a question myself first, though, to be like, let me get at least something that's not, how do you feel?
Yeah, then you throw them to the wolves every time. And here's Suns fan and Jenkins.
Yeah, and then they'll usually do something a bit like what they call lame, like a basic question, and then throw in a curveball, which I don't mind. I like that kind of thing, and I think it does keep our interviews, very intriguing. But I also don't want to scare away the players from coming on either. So
I think the problem is though, like Dota players don't want to talk about anything Dota related anyway, because it's all so secretive.
Exactly.
Like all you can ever ask about is like, oh, how did this moment of the game feel, or what were you guys saying? Then that's usually okay. Yeah. They don't mind that kind of stuff, like the calls. But this idea of like, man, why aren't you guys picking Phoenix? I can't talk about that. Yeah. So it kind of works having those kind of questions. I think that makes it better. Like, well, you eat Bulba's hat, because then you at least you get something out of Arteezy when he won't tell you about Dota.
Yeah. It's fun to egg them on in different ways. It's like, why are you guys tipping MSS so much? Why are you doing them like that?
Yeah.
And then have them talk about maybe this potential beef or something like that. Yeah, and I agree with you, Trent. You don't want to ask them like, so why are you... Jenkins will even do this. He's like trying to dig out these,
dude, he was so guilty of that.
God, dude, he's in there like, so I noticed that you guys are valuing this pickup here. Is this the case? And they're like, dude, I don't want to answer that right now. I'm going to give away all my secrets.
That's the thing. Like, you can ask them. They're not going to get offended, but like they just won't answer. So that's...
Crit did the slowest answer ever. He was like, yes, and I can't say more. I don't even remember what the question was, but it was the funniest. I don't want to talk about that answer ever.
Trent like couldn't even think of a way to like BS an answer to avoid. He's just like, I
No.
truthfully answer, but I regret as I answer.
No. Yeah.
We are the only regions that did that, I think, though. This idea of like the static panel.
Well,
right?
like, you mean same panel for everything? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
because they always had the same 3, and we always had the same 3 as well.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Every other region was
Yes.
shifting it up a lot more with the casters and stuff.
I mean,
So that was kind of interesting.
We took kind of different approaches, especially with the remote broadcasts. Like the Americas just did this lean, mean kind of crew of, all right, we got 5 people, we got our roles, and that's it. Like no sick days, you know. There's just this is it. This is how we ride. And
The
there's
grinders. Yeah.
well, there's a beauty to that too because everybody sees everything, so you're all just like really on the pulse, and I don't know. You're just connected in a way that you miss a little bit when you're not covering every game. You don't watch them the same way when you're not covering it, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's the exchange for not being able to have the nice glitzy, crane operated cameras and set and
yes.
setup. We're the grinders and we're just grimy as we watch each and every game and, get fully
In our
invested in the
pajama
story
pants.
instead. Yeah.
It's good.
And our snowball mics and bad audio and all this shit.
That's
Yeah.
my complaint. I don't want to wear dress shirts anymore. I'm done,
I
Dota Pit.
simply
I'm done.
requested, my request to the talent for DPC, which I think is totally fair,
Yes,
was wear
yours was good.
something you would just wear going outside, out and about,
Yeah, no graphic tees. I
No
believe was the
graphic
one hard
tees.
rule.
And that
That's
was tough enough for Suns fan, but he definitely made it work, and I give him the credit. I had to go to the back of the closet for this one, pulling out some sort of like,
That red polo. I swear,
red
every
polos that are
broadcast he had
wrinkled
like
up.
3 shirts.
too tight.
Jenkins wore the same jacket every single day, usually with the same pink T-shirt under. Yeah, I
Dude,
noticed Jenkins.
those
I was there
two-
fit checking you.
Those two are on another level. Like every talent has like different things that they need help with, right? Like I've been at an event where I couldn't fucking tie my tie and I had to do the like, hey, can somebody please help me? I can't get my tie to look right. I've been there, right? But the first event that we invited Jenkins to, I think it might have been a Galaxy Battles, one of the ones in China. And he like maybe a week before we're leaving, he just sent me a message like, wait, do I need dress clothes for this? Like, yeah, you're going to want to have a jacket and a shirt. Oh, shit. Should I go buy some? Well, you're going to need to do something like just this. It was like when Ryu Boras showed up at TI4 without any dress clothes. Like he just shows up with like, I don't know. I'm just kind of here. I don't know what's going on. Just like, dog, you're about... Look at Greg and Sheaver. They look fantastic. Greg, he's got a pocket square, for Christ's sake. You can't wear a T-shirt. You stick out like a sore thumb. Oh, God. I'll never
Valve
forget
ain't telling them though, so they don't know any better.
I'll never forget the tuxedo jacket though, Suns fan. The what was it, DAC, whatever. One of the first events where we dressed up in the BTS studio. I don't know if were you there for that, Dakota? I can't remember. I think it was 2015. I wasn't
No.
there. I was in China, but they were doing. I think Bruno was there. They were doing coverage in the old BTS studio next to the
remember.
kitchen. And Suns fan had one jacket, and it was a tuxedo jacket with like the silk lining, and then he had like one dress shirt, and then all graphic tees, and that was the look, a graphic tees with a tuxedo jacket. Awful, absolutely awful.
Good
Top
times.
tier.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it hasn't changed for them at all. They have an interesting type of work ethic.
I can't tell if Suns fans live in the dream or live in a nightmare.
I don't think he knows either, dude.
You know what I mean? Like at his age, it's kind of amazing to be on that schedule and be that nonchalant. Like every time I ask him about something, like last time I asked him about his plan for Valorant, he responded, "Bro, do you think I think more than a week ahead for anything that I do?" And I said, "Well, I did before this conversation, but now I'm questioning everything." I don't, what?
He's a one-track kind of guy. He gets into his like, I'm working on Pog, or I'm working on the tutorial now with Slacks. They were doing script readings the other night, and the guy's a fucking owl. Only what time does he even wake up? Like 7 p.m. my time, like 3 p.m.
it's
Pacific or something.
insane. They just make it sound like it's a normal thing. Like, oh, I wake up at 5
Because
p.m. and
they
go
outnumber
until
you.
forever. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, because Jenkins is the same way. That's the podcast I did with him was the Dota Degenerate.
Right? I roll up and I'm like, all right, gentlemen. They're like, I just woke up. I'm like, dude, I had to change 3 diapers. I was at the farmer's market. I had to do all this shit. and it's different breed, you know.
Nothing upset me more than when Jenkins told me that he was drinking 3 Red Bulls a day and he was buying them as singles from the gas station across the street from his house.
Why does he always go to the gas station?
Dude, just go to Costco and buy the fucking 40-pack if you're going to do that. What is wrong with you? You're paying 5x for Red Bulls. Get a Red Bull sponsorship, dude.
He talks about it like he's a fucking, like, going out looking for rare flowers. He's like, oh, well, if you can find this one at a gas station near you, you're lucky. Sugar-free Powerade and the pink light flavor. Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, he'll get his first kidney stone and change everything soon enough, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's Canadian. He'll be all right.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It won't bankrupt him.
Does have a history of overreacting to medical stuff, though. There's a great story of my roommate now. He's like super in shape and works out a lot. When we lived with Jenkins, he was really concerned that he might have ass cancer, as he put it. Turned out he just needed to stretch his hamstrings because he sat down too much. But he was really concerned because he was in America and didn't have health insurance. What if I have ass cancer, dude? I'm like, well, we can play the what if game for a while, buddy, but I don't think that's very likely. Jesus Christ. Dakota, did you happen to catch the podcast that Bowie and I did with Jericho, the match fixer guy from South America?
I did not. I have watched your PP podcast quite a bit, but I did miss that episode.
Did you follow that thread at all? Like that weird story about how they were banned? Like, did you catch that? Like any of those details?
Not quite. Give me the TLDR.
All right. I want your reaction to this. Yeah. So basically, Jericho's on 0900. They're this pub stack that's top of the lower division. They qualified through the opens, and they were looking real good. Now, they had gone 2-1 in a couple of their series after they had already gone like 4-0 or some shit in their opening best of threes. And one of them was against a really shitty team. So a lot of people said, hey, you didn't throw the series, but we think like that you were match fixing by throwing game 2 after you stomped game 1 and kind of knew you could stomp game 3. So you picked shit, played like shit, bet on the other team to take a game, and that was the throw. So Jericho gets all triggered and upset about it. So he opens up his Twitch stream and shows the bets that he placed on his team to win those games to prove, no, see, look, I didn't try to throw. I bet on us to win, and I lost money. And then people, of course, said to him, well, buddy, you can't bet on your own games. He pivots to, at least this is my interpretation, I think it was a pivot, that it was his friend that placed the bets.
Yes,
it was
that
his
was the
friend's
news
account,
story.
not his account. And then it was just this, well, yeah, sometimes I tell my friends when we're in shape or when we're going to, slaughter an opponent, or if I know they
Or we
suck.
have a stand-in.
Yeah, or if we have a stand-in. And that's, what's the difference between just talking to your friends and giving somebody a tip to lay bets on your behalf? I'm like, I don't know, man. So why don't we just not do any of it? How about that as a...
Wait,
it was actually like straight out of an episode of fucking like Curb Your Enthusiasm or something.
So
They
he
have him,
was
like,
still
pull up-
doubling down on the podcast about
Oh,
it?
yeah. He
Yeah,
basically said, like, yeah, I don't think that, like, we didn't call it inside information, but he basically said that giving info to your friends is not the same as match fixing, and he doesn't think that that's like a bannable offense and would be very surprised if Valve lifetime bans him. And that, there's that whole dialogue about why is it wrong to bet on your own games if that's not intentionally throwing. It's because it's insider information. You might have a tip on the other team, and plus bookies can leverage it if they know that you're a player and change odds around. All of it is bad. You just want to keep players away from any of that potential conflict of interest, unethical behavior, insider information, intentionally throwing, picking Undying to throw first to 10 kills, but you still win the game. Any of that kind of shit. Just fucking play Dota and try to win with the best strat that works for you and pretend the odds
block
don't
the
exist.
sites, bud.
Yeah, just
Don't
block
go
it
on
out.
there.
Just pretend they don't exist. But apparently the rumor is that Jericho has been betting on his team to win and various prop bets for a long time, and that he's been warned multiple times by different captains that, like, this is a bad idea. So, like, there were a lot of Spanish comments in chat. Like, when we streamed that podcast, it peaked at 2.5K concurrence, and it was mostly Spanish speakers because, he only speaks Spanish. So we had Swado there to do live translation.
And
so.
you guys were only on for like 45 minutes or something.
Yeah, it
Max.
wasn't a long stream. Like the tweet kind of picked up traction that we were doing it. So it was like a big story. And I mean, Dota Pit was not really happy about it because they're like, yo, you shouldn't platform a match fixer. And I got really concerned about that as well. So we wanted to make sure that if we were going to do it, we weren't endorsing any behavior. It was just like what the fuck is happening here kind of investigation. And I'm glad we did it because I think it added to that dialogue of this unethical behavior. But kind of wild just to see somebody dig their own grave a little bit. Like, I mean, do you think Valve's going to lifetime ban him? You know, you give info to your friends, they lay bets for you on your team to win. I think Valve will not take kindly to that. But then again, did they ever say that you couldn't do that? Could they get away by saying, you never said that that's match fixing?
Yeah, I don't know if Valve will just straight ban them or if it's going to take the next season go around and people to be like, hey, he's playing, by the way. And they're like, oh, all right.
This again.
He's banned.
Dude,
all right.
One of our fellow tournament organizers DM'd me after the podcast and said, Valve's just going to ban him 2 weeks into season 2, right?
Exactly.
Like, oh, God, you're right. Yep.
That's the real question. Do you team with him now if you're a player? Be like, nope. Don't care how good you are. I'm not going to your potential ban.
Probably not.
I'm out of this one. That should be enough
not.
deterrent, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Is it going to be one player? Is it going to be the whole team? All this shit is so sticky, and you need all this cross collaboration between the betting sites and like whistleblowers, and
you basically need whistleblowers. You need the actual hard receipts, or you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was
you know what I mean? That's kind of it.
Tiny bit of that in NA with the A team because of the demon situation, because they had to come through as demon as a player, and then they went as a coach, and then they just had to get a new player. But I would imagine if they played with them next year, maybe they have the option to kick him out and bring in someone else.
Is he done now? Like, is Jimmy just straight done? I gotta pull up his Twitter.
As it stands, like there's a lot of information on Demon that has obviously not been shared publicly. Should it be shared publicly? I don't think that's for people to decide. It's a case on its own. And with that information shared to the higher ups, they decided that he can't play. And I think that's just how it goes.
I'm pretty okay with that. It's one of those, like, if Valve says, hey, somebody came to us with evidence, we don't want to dox the victim by sharing the evidence publicly, but it passes our checks, and we feel confident this is legit, and we're gonna make a judgment based on this evidence. That's good enough for me. Just knowing that I don't have to see it. I'm willing to trust people that I trust with something that serious. So yeah, I guess so. Last thing he posted on Twitter is that he's gonna look into lawyers to clear the defamation of his name and will no longer talk about it publicly. And then he tweeted, "Tom Brady is a legend." So. Looks like things are going real well. Bummer.
Yeah, sticky, awkward situation. Obviously, with that whole perjuring, there's a lot of NA talent in there that had to go, but they had to go. And if something's wrong, then it's on them to find justice in their own ways. But as it's been decided, they can't play, and that's how it goes.
I think Jimmy mostly defamed himself in his responses. That's the issue for him more than anything else. It does. Public perception matters, and he has like quadrupled down on his response at this point. So it's good luck to you, dude. Pokemon MOBA. I'm looking at this screenshot, Trent, and I want to play.
Wait, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not looking at anything, sir.
No,
I definitely did not send you one.
No, I'm looking at your public tweet of just downloading installing.
That screenshot. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I
that's
don't
the
even
one we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't even have it in the store because
Thank you.
Even this is hype for me. You're 11% out of your 500 megabyte download.
I definitely didn't send anyone any screenshots because I'm not allowed to or I get banned.
Look at you playing. Like,
Trent
looks like
definitely not looking to ditch the Dota ship here at all.
Dude.
So they had a Canadian beta. My brother sent me a message like, yo, you can sign up for the Canadian beta and have a chance to get it. I was like, oh, really? So I signed up, and I guess I got lucky and got a thing.
The blast always goes down the mid lane. And okay, I think I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
I think I'm ready to go.
Are you allowed to talk about the gameplay, Trent, or is even that privileged?
I think probably not. There's a lot of like, do not show, like every time you click a screen. So I'm sure there's some things I can say. All I'll say is that the controls feel very nice. I've never played a phone game.
Okay.
Thought it was pretty cool.
It's a phone MOBA game.
It's going to be on Switch too.
Switch and phone.
Right now, there's a Canadian open beta. You guys can, if you just Google Pokemon Unite Canadian beta, you'll find the link to it. You can just opt in, and you might just get a notice on your phone saying you can download it. That's what happened to me.
A FOBA.
Um,
I've never heard it called that. I like that.
That's pretty funny.
FOBA.
That
I
is
imagine
good.
the controls on Switch will be very good based on how the controls on the phone are. But again, I've never even played a phone game, and it feels totally fine. But I have a really small phone, as you can see here. I have an XZ1 Compact. I love it. It's very
The
tiny.
hell?
I got the big boy.
But yeah, so it's very hard to play a MOBA on something like this. But it's like, I mean, you only need your 2 thumbs, and honestly, it still works fine.
It must be pretty simple, right? Like no items also or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think Switch will be better though. Like I liked Arena of Valor on Switch. There were just less people playing it, but the actual controls were pretty fun because the phone hurts your thumbs after a while. It's not that ergonomic, but the Switch is obviously way easier to play on.
Yeah, hopefully it's cross-platform. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be
you could like
badass.
play on your Switch and like do that. But yeah, it's it is impressive. I will say I enjoyed myself. There's skins.
What?
It's got to be skins. Gotta
My
make money.
Pikachu looks pretty
mean-
dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Is it going to be free to play? Is that the model? It's like freemium
I believe
bullshit?
so. I think it's free to play and then unlock. Like I think you get one of the Pokemon at the start, and then you can earn. It's like League. I think is the same system, right? Where you can like earn points to unlock heroes, or you can buy them.
Yeah. Lots
Um,
like that too.
Yeah. So it's it's fun.
I'm super hyped, dude.
I don't know how long the rounds will be in the end. Currently, the system is a timed round system. Sorry, Pokemon,
Oh.
don't ban me. I'm sure you're not listening to this anyway. But that's one thing I really like is that there's like a time limit. It's like, okay, the game's 10 minutes. It's probably going to be longer in the real release, but right now the beta is 10 minutes.
Oh,
so you
I
know
see.
how long you're playing for. And it's a
That's cool.
score-based
It can
system.
end earlier, or is it definitely always
I
10
think it
minutes?
can end earlier, but it would have to be. It looks pretty hard to end earlier.
Wow.
Dude.
Yeah, and you start at level 1, you level up. It's
This
pretty
is
cool.
the future. Oh my gosh. I got to study up on all these new Pokemons. I missed like the second half.
It's extremely basic for anyone who plays Dota. You will understand.
Really?
Yes.
Dude, I'm going to be
You're
the
not
best
gonna have a hard
Pokemon
time.
commentator
All
ever.
right, I think I can say this. I played my first game versus people. I got a rampage. Or no, sorry, it was only an ultra kill. I killed 4 people by myself from full HP as Pikachu. It was fucking hilarious.
Dude, you're just picking on like
I-
10-year-old Canadian Pokemon fans.
Yeah, I
They're
really
like,
was. It
"How
was
do
great.
I
was
collect
actually
them?"
just I was like bullying people. I scored more of the little flag things than my entire team combined. Which, won't
Good.
explain that. And I was the first round MVP. I had 10 kills. Everyone else on my team had 0, except one guy had 3. So it was pretty fun.
Wow.
I was owning.
So do we know
Yeah.
if there's going to be a competitive esports scene? Is this a backing that comes from a Pokemon side or a Nintendo side? Because we know
Nintendo.
Nintendo and esports, it's always a bit kind of,
Although they went pretty in on that one fighting game they have. What is that thing called? Pokken or whatever. And the Pokemon trading card game. They actually do a lot of esports stuff for it. They put
I
a
forgot
surprising
about
amount of money
Pokken.
into it.
Or is
You
that
know
how
what
you
I mean?
say it? Pokken?
I don't know. I have no idea. But
Pokken. Yeah.
I imagine that there will be money thrown into this, yes.
Okay.
Here's an article on oneesports.gg. Pokemon Unite could be the next big esports title. This article is written for every new game that comes out. Pretty exciting. Oh, wait. This is from... Is this a Nintendo employee?
I'll
Senior
say-
analyst at Nico Partners.
As it stands right now, I think it will be very fun, especially at LAN if we're all like hanging out in the green room and playing this game. Like it gives me that feeling of like when Underlords first came out and we all like
Hell
played
yeah.
together.
Hell
That would be
yeah.
this shit, dude. Like it's really funny.
It's just nostalgic enough. So it says, this is somebody I think that works at one of the publishers, said that this genre is already proven to be very popular amongst young gamers in China and Southeast Asia. It's going to be aimed at all fans, so it'll be like kind of casual friendly. Looks like it says there will be no esports focus initially, but the game could become established for esports if the player base goes in that direction. And it said it would be interested in doing world championships like they have done with their Pokken tournaments in the past. So is that like the Nintendo where they do those big Nintendo events and it's like championships for all their games? Is that what they're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a unique Pokken League? I actually kind of forgot about that game.
I think they just have a bunch of like little events with their cards and stuff, but I think it's like decent cash considering.
Yeah, there'll probably be dev ran events for sure.
Dude, I'm trying to get in on this. Anybody got an in with Nintendo? This is it right here. This is me. I'm ready, Trent.
I think the initial plans were for a March open beta. So I guess that's probably just been delayed, maybe. But I would imagine you'll get one soon. The game's in a good shape. Like it's definitely ready to be baited out a little bit.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like more info's been coming out. So, damn, dude, Switch gamers.
Doesn't matter though. I'm just gonna be playing Strive the whole time. So
Yeah, there you go.
1 month. 1 month.
You guys gonna do an event
mad.
for that game, Dakota? You guys hyped up? Trent's been talking about this new fighting game like crazy. He won't stop.
I don't know. I'd love to do a fighting game event again. I've been burned by the devs in the past, so
Oh yeah, you guys got fucked
hopefully, hopefully they're more open to the idea of people getting in on some third-party.
Who owns this one? Is this a new dev or is
Arc
this?
Systems.
up by Arc
right?
Systems. Yeah.
I don't know these guys. Are they? Is there potential there?
I don't know.
don't
It's not
really
like they
know.
have like a. It's hard because it's like, oh, I'll talk to their English esports team or whatever department, and they don't really have that. And it's
You just got to show up one day. Just go
for
to their
FGC.
headquarters.
Yeah,
shake
you can
some
almost
sense
get
into
away
them.
with just running an event, and the people back it, and the dev's not going to shut it down because they don't want to like go against the community. But
I know what you mean.
But you don't
You
want to be
know,
like a dick, kind of.
exactly, yeah, you
Yeah.
burn bridges. You can't do it again in the future. It definitely has been awkward stuff, even with us in the past on trying to do more Dragon Ball events, which is something I really had always wanted to do, but
There's that like ask for forgiveness thing. It's like just
Easier
go
to ask
it.
for forgiveness than permission.
Yes,
that thing.
exactly. That's I don't know, man.
yeah, I can't do that. I don't feel good doing that. But I know people can.
Damn
I
it, you
can't.
guys are
feels
too
slimy.
mainstream now. You can't just roll the dice, say fuck it, let's
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's definitely a bit of a process, but I definitely would love to do FGC.
I see Guilty Gear fans. So far, I'm very, very drawn to Zato. I thought I was going to be a Amelia player, but then I started picking up Zato. I'm playing some XRD. Dude, that guy's fucking hype. Zato's like the coolest shit ever. So yeah, I think I'm just a Zato player.
He's the one that has all the black shit he controls, right?
Yeah, he's got the puppet.
Yeah,
He's got Eddie,
it's
dude.
insane.
Zato and
Yeah.
Eddie.
Yeah, he's pretty insane.
Yeah, he's fun as hell.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts here, boys? Any updates on the kids? We got more kids than dads on this podcast. So, definitely want to give you guys a chance to talk about the little sprouts.
They're sprouting.
I'm surprised at how much feedback we've been getting because I think the Dota audience who are getting older are definitely of the high mind of we don't play as much. We just like to watch the game. Like, I still definitely enjoy watching the game, like as if anybody would watch the old baseball game or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're in a position now where they're like throwing the game up on the big TV, but they have kids and stuff. So I was getting a lot of feedback like, hey, I love the show, but the shit posting goes a bit too far, and I have kids and stuff. I'm like, damn, Dota audience is getting older. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
wear a
true.
headset when the boys are around.
So it's definitely interesting because I would love my kids to watch Dota and get into it though. But Dota's like that kind of game. It's a different breed kind of MOBA with
Very
it's
much
covered
more of an
sometimes.
adult game. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had little Trent pop on broadcast a couple times. It was
true. Both of them.
appreciated.
Yeah, had to be done a few times. Got to sit on a couple panels, smash some keyboards, that kind of stuff.
You ever get
Very
to flex the kids on broadcast, Dakota? Does that happen?
Not currently, just with our home setup. My working area has been like in the midst of the living room. That's why I'm not even at my home right now doing this podcast. Because any given moment there's like noise pollution and kids screaming or pooping or something like that. So when we make the next step, which is a plan for us to move into a house, like a bigger place, a homestead, I'll have hopefully an office space to be able to handle stuff out from or
Shut the
broadcast
door.
or stream. And yeah, if the little man comes in and wants to join on the action, then absolutely. But for right now, it's a bit too hectic for me to do anything like that.
Hell yeah, man. Very cool. Well, buddy, I appreciate you coming on and shooting the shit with us. Awesome
Thanks,
to get to hear from the front row seat from North America. The Americas unite. Together, we're almost a region that can compete with the likes of Europe. Almost.
Yeah.
With
We
our
should be,
forces combined.
We should be looking out for each other, and that goes
Hell
for the
yeah.
players as well, and something within the region. I'm always a bit let down on when NA teams put each other down or something like that. It's like you guys should be rooting each other on, or even for these two teams going on,
Yeah.
like Quincy and EG, you should be like cheering for them to succeed in hopes of maybe getting another slot or something like that. So I think NASA should definitely have each other's backs.
Well, here's one for you, dude. Little parting thought. There's this new internet line going in that's direct from Brazil, I think, to Portugal. And the rumor is that like sub 80 ping connection from Brazil to Europe. So like you could play on Lux probably to like 90 ping, something like that. And that might open up potential scrim partners for Europe into South America. And we could start seeing some of that crossover like
Invest
never before.
now.
I know. And now a lot of people say like, all right, what's the timeline on that? Like it's estimated to be done this year. I think it's already like they've laid the foundation and they've been doing private tests and they're going to open up the bandwidth for public use like in a matter of months. So there's some potentially exciting stuff, dude. Technology is in an awesome spot. And that is
Imagine we have this like satellite direct beam internet, no ping, and everybody could just scrim and play who they wish. That'd be just such a wild world.
Would have been very convenient during a pandemic. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. But mark my words, man. I know Peru's been taking over South America, but Brazil, it might be on the rise once that tech gets put down and people know about it. Cheap, fast internet. That's a big deal for us. But folks, thanks for joining us on this podcast. Make sure you follow us, YouTube, Twitter, all that shit. You know where to find it by now. Episode 174 done. We'll see you next time. Give Dakota a follow as well. He's just at Dakota Cox, one of these badasses. Both of you guys, Trent and Dakota here, embracing the real name instead of these goofy nicknames. Well done, gentlemen. Well done.
Thank you.
There you go.
Dakota Cox Cass.
All right, gang. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Later.